Turn now to the latest around FTX. A court filing over the weekend showing the crypto exchange owes its 50 largest creditors more than $3 billion. Our Kate Rooney is live from the Bahamas, and she has the latest for us. Kate.
Hey, David, that's right. We did have a nice sunny live shot about 20 minutes ago. You can see the umbrella here. It is raining. I spoke to Sam Bankman-Fried here in Nassau on Friday, and despite being ousted from FTX in the company's bankruptcy, he says he's still spending most of his time still trying to broker a bailout. He declined to talk about some of the financial details around the fall of FTX, what we all really want to know, and he did decline an on-camera interview or a longer talk on the record. He is hunkered down here, though, in an upscale Bahamas neighborhood, and he told me there are billions of dollars of potential funding out there to make customers whole, as he put it. We also talked about getting as much value to users. He said he hates what happened and he wishes he had been more careful. He also maintains that there are billions of dollars in customer assets available, despite not having access to his corporate email or any of the FTX systems right now. Guys, this is, of course, a long shot, and legal experts tell me an SBF deal, Sam Bankman-Fried deal, would be no different than any other third-party bidder at this point. But legal experts also tell me that him being part of the solution may actually help in a criminal or civil court. No response from him on that. FTX's new CEO, John Ray, over the weekend, saying that he is also exploring sale options for FTX. You can already see some pretty stark differences, guys, here on the island as FTX unwinds. The lit-up sign that said FTX when we were here back in August, that's gone. We also stopped by FTX headquarters. That parking lot was essentially empty. Security guards shoot us away pretty quickly. We also saw a car leaving those offices with 4 young people. We couldn't confirm that they were indeed FTX employees, but they rolled up the window, wouldn't talk to us, wouldn't make eye contact, and sped away pretty quickly. We also went by what appears to be the plot of land FTX had committed, about $60 million to that project to build out for an office. An FTX executive once compared that to Apple and Google campuses. That is vacant at this point. No construction has started there. And guys, the story really now heating up in bankruptcy courts with customer funds caught between Delaware and the Bahamas. And it is the biggest story in Nassau. It's all over the local papers, the Nassau Guardian we've got here. But it's all still playing out. The bankruptcy really is the next step to watch here.
Yeah, Kate, it's David. Listen, I asked this question knowing it's very hard for you to answer, but he seems to be living in some sort of dream world here with this idea of getting a bailout that somehow is going to put everything right. Do you have any idea who he's taking advice from, or, where he's coming up with these ideas that, frankly, don't seem rooted in reality?
Yeah, that's a good point, David. And every investor I've talked to in terms of the potential buyer here, the potential bailout options, they've said they can't imagine, they can't fathom anybody with a big enough balance sheet or the risk appetite. So it seems like an absurd long shot at this point from everyone else I'm talking to. He seems to be laser focused on that. So maybe it's a way to distract himself from the reality of really what's going on here. That's one possibility. He seemed, when I saw him on Friday, relatively calm, pretty similar to the way he was when we were here back in August. So there's a possibility it hasn't sunk in yet, or he's just using this as a distraction. But he does maintain that it is an option, that there are potential billions of dollars out there. But I think that is the question, David. This being such a long shot, how is he holding on to this? And it's puzzling.
I want to go back to the bankruptcy piece of the puzzle, Kate. I mean, the fact that there seems to be this jurisdictional tug of war playing out between the Bahamas and the U.S. right now. Any sort of sense on how that is going to evolve, especially when you talk about some of the assets and where they're located, and who ultimately is going to, I guess, have the power at the end of the day here to carry this out?
Yeah, so part of the issue that John Ray, the new CEO, has talked about is how messy the accounting was. So keeping track of these assets, whether they're in Bahamas or in the U.S., and who has the right to really oversee those is one of the issues, and it goes back to the beginning days of FTX and sort of the mismanagement, as John Ray has described it. The Bahamas regulators have said that they're the ones that should have control over the FTX digital markets, which is based here. They've said Chapter 11 doesn't apply to us. They're going for Chapter 15, which does recognize some of the foreign entities. And they've already moved some of the assets from FTX Digital into their own wallet, and essentially ignoring what FTX in the U.S. is hoping would be a stay option. In a normal bankruptcy hearing, you'd have the assets fenced off until everyone can figure out where they're going. part of this issue is it's a very international company, and nobody really knows where the assets are at this point. So they're trying to untangle this web at the moment.
Kate Rooney, great reporting, joining us from the Bahamas. Thank you.